The bodies of two people are discovered inside of a Columbus home. I'm News 3's Darian Aaron with a live report coming up.
We all remember Melissa McCarthy from Bridesmaids, but she's back in a new film, Life of the Party. Everybody that's in this line behind me will be going inside in just a few minutes to see her new film. Good evening. I'm on the corner of Erling Avenue and River Road in Columbus, where as you can see, there's a very active scene here. A shooting occurred here just a little while ago.
For most Americans, the presence of law enforcement provides a sense of safety and security. But for many people of color, it's the opposite. People around the world are mourning for the families impacted by the senseless act of violence that claimed the lives of 17 people in Florida on Wednesday. Michael Williams is running to become the next governor of Georgia, and his proposed 287G plan to halt the influx of undocumented immigrants into the U.S. and his chosen symbol of that plan in a controversial deportation bus is stirring up quite the national conversation. I spoke with Williams along with his supporters and those opposing his campaign during the Columbus stop on his bus tour. What followed was a snapshot of a heated issue that's dividing the country.
The next question is for Mr. Aaron Sebia, and it comes from Darian.
Mr. Aaron Sebia, you've all talked about your strengths as candidates for mayor. I'm sure you will all agree that no one is perfect. Name one weakness, and if elected mayor, what would you do to work on that weakness?
That's probably the best question I've been asked in the past 3 months.
I'm inside of the City Services Center where early voting began at 8:30 this morning, right inside here, and wrapped up just a little while ago. Now, I spoke with several poll workers who told me that early voting has gotten off to a bit of a slow start.
So for those of you who are just joining us, let me just recap for a minute. We are in Phoenix City on 12th Avenue and Halsey Street, where a homicide occurred around 1:55 this afternoon when police received a 911 call. One male victim is dead, has been confirmed dead, according to authorities. I'm being told that the shooting actually took place in the Wilson Apartments, which you can see right behind me. I'll turn the camera around in a few to give you guys a better look, but there is a heavy police presence here on the scene. I'm being told by Sergeant Holland of the Columbus PD Robbery and Assault Department that two individuals were found deceased inside of the home around 1:30 this afternoon. News 3's Darian Aaron. I'm on the scene of a crash here on Veterans Parkway in Old Moon in Columbus. I have Captain Hastings here with me from the Columbus PD. He's going to give us an update on what's happened here.
The only thing missing from this uniform is a cape. The bravery of the men and women who step into these uniforms at Beulah Fire Department is what inspires everyone from Hollywood screenwriters to little boys and girls who dare to dream of a life of service. And it's the families of those dreamers that these firefighters are looking out for by installing free smoke detectors in homes across the Beulah community.
We've had an opportunity to go in and install approximately 300 smoke detectors here in Beulah, from, as Marty said earlier, from a poverty-stricken home to a moderate residential home. So it's a huge opportunity for us.
In partnership with the American Red Cross, this effort is a multi-year program focused on fire prevention, not only in Beulah, but across the country.
It's different from some of the other programs in that we don't hand people a smoke alarm. We go to their homes, we install it. That way we know that it doesn't wind up in a drawer somewhere. That it gets installed, that it's installed properly.
And according to Chief Paget, proper installation can be a matter of life or death, as it was for one man.
And one was a gentleman, he had gotten up in the morning, began to cook his breakfast, laid back down and fell asleep on the sofa. The smoke detector went off, alerted him. He was able to go to the kitchen and extinguish the fire, and then we responded and assisted him in that manner.
Paget says, as long as the American Red Cross continues to provide the smoke detectors, the fire department will distribute them.
It's not as glamorous as advancing a hose line down a hallway, but we're saving lives.
Once a day, Dedrick Tillerson takes Truvada for PrEP, a single blue pill to help prevent HIV infection. It's been a part of his daily routine and ongoing effort to protect his sexual health since the FDA approved the drug in 2012.
Like I always tell people, PrEP is my insurance plan. My backup insurance plan, because obviously first thing should be a condom, because HIV is one thing, But there are so many other STIs that are out there that you can contract.
That reality is something Amistad St. Aramon addresses head on.
But when I think about HIV in Georgia and HIV in rural communities, we know that it's younger people, people who are between 15 and 23 who are getting HIV, and who are African American and getting HIV at such high rates.
Which is why he advocates for PrEP as prevention, a tool he says, had it been available decades ago, would have altered his life.
Had PrEP been available 20 years ago, certainly I would not be living with HIV.
That's why Columbus Dr. Saeed Baloch is determined to start a conversation about PrEP, despite the presence of stigma.
A little difficult for me here in Columbus area. I have to start a conversation instead of patients starting conversations with me. So it's the other way around. It's me who is trying to find patients and tell them about PrEP.
Baloch tells News 3 because of stigma and personal bias in medicine, he may be the only local doctor willing to offer PrEP to those who need it.
Unfortunately, it seems like true that I may be the only doctor who is willing to prescribe PrEP and without judging my patients.
I lived with stigma for many, many years. Fear of telling people, fear of being around people, fear of telling my family, fear of being rejected, fear of maybe not having a job, or fear of maybe if I had the job and I told my employer before they hired me I had HIV, maybe they wouldn't give me health insurance.
I have a lot of patients whose medicine come to my office because they don't want the medicine to be, because we do mail order medicines, they don't want medicine to come to their home.
Tillerson says much of the focus around HIV has been centered around those living with the disease, but PrEP is changing that.
There's always more talk about the folks that have contracted HIV versus PrEP. Now, the CDC has made a stronger push for a lot of these local agencies and local advocates to start pounding the pavement more about, about PrEP.
According to a recent report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 50% of the 1.1 million Americans who could benefit from PrEP were black, but African Americans only accounted for 1% of those actually filling PrEP prescriptions.
I mean, I feel like, after, being on the drug for so long now, my health is better than it ever has been.
We are all being impacted by HIV. It is here. It is here. It is not something that is out there. It is everywhere we go. And we can love one another and protect one another from HIV by just understanding that PrEP is available and accessible.
On your side, Darian Aaron, WRBL News 3. It was a different America in 1968 when James Hughley returned home from being wounded in the Vietnam War. There was no fanfare or special recognition for his service, which is all the more reason why tonight is so incredibly special.
Those Purple Heart, those that Bronze Star, I never was formally awarded them. Even I think I got one Purple Heart when I was stationed back at Fort Benning, but I was never in front of a formation and said thank you.
But while in the trenches, Hughley says a brotherhood was formed that transcended cultural differences and created inseparable bonds, like the bond shared by veterans Kenneth Fields and Paul Reeves.
We were on the same helicopter, same flight platoon, and we get together. We spent our first New Year's January 1 of '68. We have not missed New Year's together in 50 years.
Just like saying on Facebook, best friends forever.
Brotherhood.
BFFs, right?
It don't happen no more. But if you have somebody that served in combat and risked his life with everybody, it's a bond that you can't hit. That man tied in family with me.
Reeves and Fields both say if given the chance, they'd do it all over again.
I felt like it was my duty to do it, and I done it, I had no regrets about it.
Veteran honoree Major General James Livingston acknowledged the sacrifice and icy reception some soldiers received upon their return home.
I looked at the stats, and 87% of you would make that choice, same choice today. And that's the reason I say you're a remarkable group of men.
Over 300 veterans were in attendance for tonight's Welcome Home event. Organizers told the crowd that the evening was a reflection of gratitude and appreciation for all of those who answered the call of duty.